Welcome to the process. Man, I feel like I'm being really quiet. It's like I'm talking softer because it's 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday, February 9th. It's going to be a fun one, kicking off the first ever episode of the process. I'm going to go through the same thing that I would have been doing right now if I weren't live. This is what I do each morning to get ready for the NBA slate. Same sort of process for MLB on a day-to-day basis as well. Obviously different sport, not really projecting rotations in baseball, but I'm going to go through each team. I'm going to break through all of the minutes. I'm going to look at rotations. I'm going to look at rates with guys on and off the floor, and I'm going to do my best to set up my projections for the day. This could take any amount of time possible. Obviously, on like a 2-game slate, this is going to be a pretty quick one. On a 10-gamer, it's going to be quite the chore, but that's what we have to do. I have previous results in there now. I don't delete this stuff straight out of the gate if a team has no issues. Like the Utah Jazz, for example. If they have the same guys in a couple days in a row, rarely going to need to make many changes to the rotations. It's when people come out. But I'm not expecting a huge crowd from the live version of this because 6:30 in the morning is early and it's 3:30 on the West Coast, and those people certainly aren't watching this. They're more likely to still be awake than go to bed to get up for it. But I'm excited to just bounce through everything, and hopefully this helps out some people that are looking to take their DFS game a little bit further and understand what's going on in the back end to get from point A to point B. So we should have quite a bit of people in here already. I mean, 20 people is honestly more than I was expecting out of the first minute. So I appreciate having you guys. I'm hoping this takes about an hour. That's my goal right now. But we shall see. It all depends on news too. If we got a bunch of guys out, rotations are going to be a little bit more problematic. So what you're looking at right now on the screen, and I assume everyone can see it correctly. If there's anybody in chat that cannot, let me know. I can zoom in a little bit further. But what you're looking at on my screen right now is the depth chart piece of my sheet. One caveat for this. I did do a couple things before I got started, like add in Vegas lines, update my schedule. So, I want Vegas lines in here so that I know point totals. So I did that before we got in here. I downloaded salary files. I updated my personal database with last night's stats. So that's the sort of stuff that's not all that important right now. Zoom in just a bit, please. Got it. We'll get it up to 100%. I was at 90. Normally it's set to 75%, which is probably not going to help anyone see anything, but gotcha. So let's just start this one off. Basically, I just filter this down. This is a giant table of every team, their current depth chart, or at least, generally speaking, their current depth chart. I end up missing a bunch of guys, or guys get cut, and they all just start funneling to the bottom. Actually, I should refresh this now. Team name. Got a bunch of guys joining in. I have like blank spots in here for reasons unbeknownst to me. Do I just maintain the data in Excel itself? Yes, I do. It's just in Excel. My raw data, I have an actual SQL database, but everything that I do to prep for a slate is done in Excel. So anybody can do this. So first thing I'm starting with is Boston. And first thing that I want to do is just check to see if anybody is in or out. You can do that in many different ways. I have been using the Roto World depth chart for as long as I can remember at this point in time. I'll bounce between really any source that I can get to works for me. I just want information as much as I can. But, if I'm going for lines, I'm going straight to OddsShopper. You're going there through the Awesemo website. So oddshopper.awesemo.com. That is the spot. If I need spreads for the games, there's no better spot to do that. It's the first tab that shows up in my prep workbook. So go to OddsShopper if you need that. So for Boston, no Marcus Smart. Looks like Jaylen Brown is going to be questionable for today. And then that's really all that we have to worry about. So I need to get Jaylen Brown back in. So I'm going to gut everything that I have for Boston today, since everything that I had Jaylen Brown out. So I'm taking out everything that I had for minutes previously, and I'm taking out everything that I had for rates previously. So this section is going to be where I'm projecting minutes on a position by position basis. This section is going to be where I'm changing rates for usage, for assists, and for rebounding. I generally don't touch anything all that frequently from a steal and block rate perspective, just because I don't think reacting to small samples is going to help me. And the way that I have my data set up, the regressed rates that I use are going to just be easier, unless someone has like a very, very specific role change, like they went from being a 4 to now a stretch 5 or something like that. I might make some small tweaks, but really, I think I can encompass everything that I need to do from a usage site, assist rate, offensive and defensive rebounding rates. Prospecting Central, SQL database hosted locally. Yes, it is. T McBee in the house. You got the coffee. I got the coffee. What site do I use to get rates? So I will use NBA Wowie to get my on-off rates. But we can dive in right now and just start doing this. So there are some things that I'm just going to type in that are going to just be what I want. Like, I don't have to look too hard into Jason Tatum's minutes, for example. This guy's going to be like 36 or 37 minutes no matter what. Similarly, I might take a look at, so I can hop here. I know I'm going to zoom in here, guys. Don't worry. So this is just a table of minutes played, and you can see it's just the team or the players, descending dates, and then their average minutes played in this time span. So this is the spot that I go. This is the information that I import in here through my database. El Negro Loco, I'm here but not here. So this is the spot where I'm just checking minutes to see if there's been any weird trends. And if you see anything like hopping around in an odd way, then that's when I'll go to something like Popcorn Machine to dig into rotations. So Jaylen Brown potentially could be back. He's been out for 2 games. We know Marcus Smart's been out for a while. I'm just going to immediately slot 36 minutes onto Jason Tatum, and I just throw them into the power forward spot for right now. I don't care too much about being ultra accurate when I break this down by positions, but I do try to move them around as I go. So if I get to a point where I need more power forward minutes, then I start kicking them left on Jason Tatum. Similar story, like next guy up is going to be Daniel Tice. I like, it's weird. What I like to do, and this is just like personal preference type thing, I want to go through and drop in all the minutes for the stars to start, and then I'll work my way from, I'll do centers, and then point guards, and then I try to just treat everybody else, the shooting guard, small forward, power forward, as like wings. And I like those minutes tend to bleed to other positions, but it's really easy for me to split off point guards and centers because it just looks a little easier. Will this be a new daily thing I will do? Yes, it will. I'll be doing this Monday through Friday. Every single morning, I'll be doing this. Yeah, Lou Dort would not great. Lou Dort picked up 2 fouls last night in 30 seconds. It was not ideal. So just looking at minutes quickly for Daniel Tice. So this is where it gets tricky. Like, he's been playing more, 35, 28, 27, dropped to 9, and then back up to 34. So I do want to look at the rotations, but I'm assuming I'm going to be in like the 28% or 28-minute range. So I'm going to hop to Popcorn Machine. This is my preferred method of looking at rotations. I'm just used to it by now. The visual is perfect for me. T McBee, if you don't want those little round filters, they do sell reusable filters for the AeroPress, but they are fantastic. Do I use cleaning the glass for minutes of guys that play 2 to 3 positions? Not really, because I don't really care where they're going. Like, I know most of it off the top of my head. I know that Jason Tatum isn't playing exclusively at one position, and I know that if he's not playing at power forward, it's probably small forward. I'm not worried about the split all that much. I will look at it a little bit, just to like firm things up in my head for guys that I don't really know. But I'm at a point now where I don't really need to look at the position split. It's not all that important, and it doesn't change. So this is just to track a visual, so I don't end up projecting 80 minutes to center type guys. It doesn't matter where these numbers go. The only thing that matters is the raw total. Okay, so Tice did not start and then played pretty much the entire game after that, save for the end of the second quarter, beginning of the third. So they went to, oh man, they're just all over the place. Tice is playing alongside of Thompson in this one. alongside of Grant Williams in this one. So he closed Grant Williams, Jason Tatum, Kemba, Peyton Pritchard, and Daniel Tice. So Brown being back doesn't make me think that that's going to affect Tice closing at all. So I think that I'm going to go to 28 minutes on Tice. And then for Tristan Thompson, playing 24 minutes a game over his last 4. He started and did a normal rotation, but just didn't close. I'm going to expect him to not close more frequently, although it would be interesting to see if he does close more against Utah. Thompson, obviously a bigger body. Rudy Gobert clearly closing for Utah. So it's possible that Tristan Thompson can close in this scenario. I don't imagine that that's the case, though. So I am going to go to my one other little secret spot that I go to from time to time, just for an easier visual. NBArotations.info, another site that has, well, NBA rotations, sort of like popcorn machine. And what I want to do is go to Boston, and then I want to go to Tristan Thompson. And what you can see pretty quickly here is how frequently someone is closing. So this is Tristan Thompson's game log. And as I work my way down, like clearly didn't play in the 4th here, did close against the Clippers, isn't closing against Golden State or the Lakers, closes against San Antonio. No games here against Utah, so I don't really have anything as a sign. So I'm just going to give Tristan Thompson 21 minutes. And as you can see, now I'm spiraling over the top of minutes at power forward, and that makes sense, or at center. That makes sense. I still have to give Robert Williams some playing time, and Robert Williams hasn't been doing much of anything. This is just a general rotation, and you'll see pretty quickly I don't care at all about guys that aren't going to be viable plays. Whether I give Robert Williams like 10 minutes or 12 minutes or 14 minutes, it's mostly meaningless. These are guys that aren't going to show up in any lineups for me anyway. So I'm trying to be ultra or as accurate as possible for the guys that matter. And you'll see I'll either use like spillover guys, or the difference between like having Robert Williams at 12 and Carson Edwards at 6 or 8. Totally meaningless. I just can't care for something like that. So I'm going to drop in 12 minutes for Robert Williams. And then since I'm spilling over 13, I'm going to move 13 minutes from Daniel Tice to the power forward spot, leaving him 15 at center. And then at some point in time, I'm going to need to move Jason Tatum over, drop some more in for Semi. So I think I'm just going to put Semi's minutes in now since it's easier. Jaylen Brown will be back. We're talking Semi playing about 16 minutes a day. So I'm going to give him 16, which means I drop 17 in for Jason Tatum, which makes this 19. And now I've got power forward and center done for Boston. We're going to move over to point guard now, where Kemba got up to 32 minutes here, 32 minutes on the 5th, 32 and a half minutes on the 7th. I'm going to give him 33. I assume that at some point in time, Kemba Walker is just going to be himself again. So that one goes in there pretty easily. Wouldn't rates be impacted if you're splitting per position like that? Not for me. So everything that you see in like these 4 or these 5 columns are just cells that add up together to go into column N, which is my minutes total. I just want to keep a broken down visual, but it's not like I don't care about their individual rates at a particular position. I'll deal with that on the back end. Whoa, 67 people in here. It would be really cool if everybody that watches the show in the morning hits the like button. I know I don't ask for too much, but we're all waking up together. It would be fun to see it. Okay, so I've got Kemba in for 33 minutes. That means that there are 15 other minutes at point guard. I'm going to just immediately give them to Jeff Teague. My assumption is that they don't ever play together, or at least won't be playing together all that frequently. They did play alongside each other quite a bit in the previous game, but just for record keeping purposes, I know that Jeff Teague is not going to be getting a chunk of minutes that I care about. So I'm just giving him the other point guard minutes because it makes my column look cleaner and funnels me closer and closer to the middle of everything that I'm doing. And as you can see, I'm going to have to give Grant Williams a chunk of minutes and then keep moving Jason Tatum to the left even further, or potentially Semi. I assume, yeah, because Grant Williams would be considered bigger than Semi, so I might have to do that now. And Grant Williams minutes are going to be the ones that are trickiest. I don't really know what they're doing here. He did just play like normal. He started, took the normal starter rotation. He closed, except for that final stretch of like a minute and a half. You have to assume that Peyton Pritchard is the odd man out of this lineup if no, he didn't start. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, why? See, this is what drives me crazy. Carson Edwards started, and I totally forgot Carson Edwards started. I was looking at this like Peyton Pritchard started, but I want all the starters at the bottom. Happens from time to time. Not important. Anyway, Carson Edwards is not going to be the starter if Jaylen Brown is back. He will be the one that's out of that lineup for sure. They could flip-flop Tice and Grant Williams, and I wouldn't be surprised about that. But Carson Edwards is definitely going to be the odd man out in that spot. Is this show about showing us how to watch how the watch is made versus just going to Awesemo to get the time? Yes, absolutely. This is literally just what I do every single morning. We thought that it could be interesting as a hangout show. Like nothing else is on right now. I'm here breaking this down one way or the other. So we were hoping that people would like to see sort of how the sausage gets made. I have seen nothing on Jaylen Brown from a minutes perspective if he's back. Yeah, I think I'm just going to give Jaylen Brown like a pretty normal rotation. So I'm just going to throw 34 minutes in there. That leaves us 45 minutes to go. I do want to just toss Grant Williams a standard 20 minutes. So Kemba, Tatum, Brown. Who else is going to close with Jaylen Brown back? It's probably going to be Grant Williams and Tice, right? That makes the most sense to me. Or, two of those three with Tristan Thompson as well. There's not a lot of worry for me there. So let's give I'm going to give Grant Williams 22 minutes, which is going to cause me to move Semi's minutes to the small forward spot, and then 6 more minutes from Jason Tatum to the small forward spot. So that'll take him to 13, 23. I've got 25 minutes left. I still need to project in Peyton Pritchard. That's the last guy that matters to me. I don't want to go to the 23 minutes, though. So I am going to give Peyton Pritchard 21 minutes and then move 7 minutes to the small forward position for Jaylen Brown. That leaves me 2 minutes of leftover time. And this is one that I want to point out. I don't care where those 2 minutes go, but I want to give them to someone. I don't have to. The way that my sheet is set up, those 2 minutes get projected out to basically a replacement level player so that nobody else gets a boost that they don't need. I like giving it to someone so that I have spillover if there's giant usage swings. I don't care what this guy ends up getting projected for. So the first thing that I want to point out is this. In column B, this is my personal raw fantasy points per minute from FanDuel. Column T, without any adjustments to rates, is just telling me how these guys are projecting out on a fantasy point per minute basis compared to that rate. So right out of the gate, you can see that everybody is projecting worse than their normal rates. Now, I'm going to be bumping up usage rate projections on a couple of these guys. So somebody like Tatum, Kemba, Jaylen Brown, they're going to likely get closer to neutral. The other guys are going to look bad. But what you're seeing here is the effect of playing Utah, which in this case is the 3rd slowest team in the league, as is Boston. Boston is the 6th slowest team in the league. So what we're seeing is just a slow-paced game bringing down the fantasy points per minute. And that's something that I think is pretty key to see. So the next thing that I'm going to do is go to Wowie. This is a place that I spend a ton of time in trying to figure out on-off rates. I'll immediately go straight to Boston. What does the 95.9 number represent next to the Vegas odds? My calculated pace metric for this game. Prospecting Central. Those rates are based solely on pace. Now, let me explain it a little bit better. So this is a raw rate. This is just what I think each guy is going to do on a fantasy point per minute basis independent of everything else. It's based on all of their old previous rates. This right now is taking the projection that is already made. Just by having the minutes in, everybody gets a fantasy point projection. So this is just dividing the fantasy points by the minutes to get a fantasy point per minute rate and then comparing it to my previous rate. But we'll see those adjust in a second. So I don't really have too much to worry about here if Jaylen Brown is back. I do just want to take off some of the guys that I know will not play. And that would be mostly just to grab guys that impact usage most. So I don't need to know how these guys play with Taco Fall or Tremont Waters on the floor. And this isn't totally necessary. It's just something that I like to do. Especially once you get a team like this where you have a pretty good core of guys that show up on the floor. So right there should cover me. Oh, congrats, Mr. OG. Second on Thrive last night. And now, I don't remember what the thresholds are for why some of these guys' names are highlighted in different ways. Light blue is going to be the guys that are most important. Green will be the guys that are secondary most important. And then if you're not highlighted in anything, I don't really care to change your rates because you're not going to show up in my lineup. So the first thing that I'm going to do is grab Tatum's usage rate. So just as a baseline, he's a 29.6% usage guy. That's not actually where he's at. He's been at 30% for this year. So I'm just going to lock that in at 30. So what that's doing is instead of calculating Jason Tatum as a 29.6% usage guy, it's locking him at 30. No matter what changes I make, he will stay at 30. Everybody else will progressively come down. If I project someone higher than their normal rates, everybody else is going to have to give up possessions. If I project them lower, they're giving back possessions into the bucket. So I'll also get Kemba. Kemba's been at a 25.4% usage rate so far. I had him in at a 26% rate, so I don't like deviating too much from studs, so we're going to go straight to 26. Next guy that I'm going to hit is Jaylen Brown, 29% usage rate on the season. He's normally a 28 guy. Look, another thing that I want to say, this is an inexact science. There's no specific answer that I should be typing in for a usage rate for these guys. I'm just kind of eyeballing it and keeping guys either around their current rates or making major adjustments if people are out. So that covers Jaylen, that covers Jason Tatum, that covers Kemba Walker. Tatum's usage rate can probably use a little bit of a bump. And one thing I want to touch on, I'm just going to do a lot of this stuff and we're going to talk through it. The intricacies of every little individual thing, I'm not going to be able to touch on in each show. We're already live for 22 minutes. We're not even out of Boston yet. So I'm going to have to learn how to keep the pace of this show moving a little bit faster. And there will be times where I probably just cut this show short if we're running long. So Daniel Tice is going to be at 15% usage. I think that looks fine. Tristan Thompson is at 15% usage this year. I'm going to go to 15.5 since he's normally a 16% guy. And I think that's basically it. It doesn't really matter how I project anybody else out. It probably wouldn't hurt to hit Peyton Pritchard with a little bit more usage, but I don't think that he's going to be a very relevant option today either way. But I will give him the 15.5% usage rate. This is going straight into the tip-off show at 4. Yeah, Terry, it might. So once I do this, quickly, I just want to go over and take a look at some of the raw rates. So I have a boom calculation in here. It's not the same one that Alex uses. I think he uses 5x plus 10. I'm using 3.5x plus 22. I want to see more of the extremes. There's no right or wrong answer to this. It's just a visual for me. None of this is important. But what this is telling me is that Kemba Walker will look pretty solid on FanDuel today. He's 5,700. Decent value. Probably a guy I'm going to end up with. Won't be getting to very much else from Boston. And that makes perfect sense to me. I'm not all that concerned with playing Boston against Utah in this particular spot, especially with Jaylen Brown back. But Jason Tatum, 1.15-ish fantasy point per minute guy. So that's it for Boston. I just put Boston in the hopper, 1 down and 13 more to go. Appreciate you guys being here. Wow. 77 concurrent viewers, 56 likes. I appreciate you guys so much. So we're moving on to Brooklyn now. From a Brooklyn news perspective, no Kevin Durant. Really the only one that matters. Noah Vonleh available to play, which is kind of crazy, right? Has he been getting tested? Okay, so we're going to have to add Noah Vonleh to the Nets, and then we're going to be taking Kevin Durant out. So first things first, let's get Noah Vonleh here. I don't even know if he's in the player pools. So Noah Vonleh in, not projected as in right now. I agree, Terry. Is there a number for total team usage? Yes. So it can only be 100% in theory. So these are all going to get like, it'll be easier to describe this in a different way. So what I've got here are the usage rates for each player. This is what I'm using for the game itself. I'm taking that usage rate and distributing possessions based on what I think the pace is. So in this case, it's 103.4 possessions for the game for Brooklyn. Using the usage rates, that proportions out possessions for everybody else so that the total amount of possessions I give out matches the pace of the game. So in this case, 103.4 possessions used, 103.4 possessions available. But it all happens on the back end. Okay, I do have Kyrie in this last game, so that's exciting. All right, Vonleh is minimum priced on FanDuel, not on the DraftKings slate. Good to know. I don't know how much he'll matter right now. He's probably not going to be playing 20 plus minutes today, or at least you wouldn't think that he does. So I had Durant in for this last game, so all of those minutes need to go away. All those rates go away. That is an extreme one. So Kyrie, right out of the gate, I'm giving 35 minutes. I assume I don't need to worry too much about that. Does he play 36 regularly? Didn't play on the 6th on the back-to-back. 35, 36, 38, 34. Nah, yeah, I'm giving him 36 minutes. So right out of the gate, 36 minutes straight to Kyrie. And then next up is just going to easily be Harden. Same thing. 12 minutes at the point guard spot, 24 minutes at the shooting guard spot. In and out like it's nothing. I probably could go to 37 there. I don't really like going to 37 minutes unless it's something that's very, very, very frequent. Next one up is going to be DeAndre Jordan's center minutes. Yes, this is how I create the contenders list. I'll do everything there, and then the contenders will show up here. Spoiler alert. When I sign off of this, I'll go record the contenders. All right, so DeAndre Jordan played a little bit more here with Durant out. I don't get the sense that that's going to be too aggressive. So I'm going to give DeAndre Jordan 23 minutes at the center spot, which will give Jeff Green 25 minutes at the center spot. And then I'm going to give him another 7 minutes at power forward. Green played 29 minutes in their last one, 30, 31 and a half. I think, you know what? Let's make it 30. I think 32 is fine. It's possible that I add Noah Vonleh to the rotation moving as we go forward. Against the Pistons, I don't think that I'm super worried about it. I think they'll be fine against Detroit if they don't work Vonleh in immediately. And it's possible by closer to lock, I am giving Vonleh 8 minutes or something. It's just not important right now. So we've got the point guards done. We've got the center rotation done. Most of this stuff is going to fill itself out. I'm just going to drop in 33 minutes for Joe Harris at the small forward spot and work around that. If I have to wiggle some playing time around, I'll be able to do that pretty easily. Didn't play much in the last one. Don't really need to dig into it. Wow, Tyler Johnson played 24 minutes. Wild stuff. TLC got up to 33. Okay, I need to look at this final rotation. So, what day was that? When was their last game? The 6th. Man, I can't read. There we go. Philly. So, Brooklyn, TLC started. So we're expecting Kyrie back in this lineup. I would assume TLC out, Kyrie Irving in. Man, Steve Nash just runs weird-ass rotations, but it doesn't really matter what was going on here because they were getting smiggity smacked at the end of the fourth quarter. I think TLC just goes back to his normal minutes, with a slight boost, obviously, with Kevin Durant being out. So I'm going to give him 20 right now, and we'll see where we end up after that. Interesting. All right, so Norvel Pell picked up 17 minutes, but in all actuality, that wasn't. I mean, he wouldn't have played that deep into the fourth. So I'm going to assume that they go back to him instead of Vonleh. So what I am going to do is give him another 12 minutes here and then move Jeff Green's 12 minutes out. So that'll go to 13 and 19. I think that looks a little bit better. After that, I think Shamet probably plays like 20 minutes. I'm going to give him 4 and 15 here just for number's sake. 19 is going to be fine, which is pushing Bruce Brown all the way to the 4, which I don't care for. So we're going to have to make Joe Harris the 4, I guess. He's going to be more of a 4 than anybody else. He's not really a 4 at all, but is that the case? So like they run such firm rotations, but he's not really playing the 4 all that much. That makes sense to me though. Who would be getting those extra 4 minutes? It's not. I mean, I guess technically maybe they're considering it Bruce Brown. So this is where I would go to Cleaning the Glass to see like who's really playing minutes at the 4 for Brooklyn, just for like my brain's sake. And Cleaning the Glass is something you have to pay for. I have paid for it since the day that it started. This is Ben Falk's site, former NBA worker. Love the site. Very, very much advocate for it. So let's take Kevin Durant off the floor here. Also take Karis LeVert off, Jared Allen off, Spencer Dinwiddie off, and Taurean Prince off. Okay, so we get the first lineup here. Joe Harris at the 4. They go Bruce Brown at the 3. Makes it easier for me. So I'm going to give Bruce Brown 20 minutes. I'm going to move 20 minutes of Joe Harris to the 4. So that's 13 and 20. And then I still have 9 minutes to give to someone. Who would that be? I don't think Chris Chiozza is going to play. I don't think Tyler Johnson's going to be new to the rotation either. They were just running a 9-man rotation. Right now I have it in for 9-man. So I'm just going to try to distribute a couple more minutes to everybody that I already have in here. So we're going to give Norvel Pelle a 14, which is fine. And I'm not going to correct these minutes now because now I just want it to be in here and I don't want to deal with it. So I'm going to bump up Landry Shamet here. Jordan forced from the game in the 3rd. Tyler Johnson fell into his leg. Okay, per the Post, Jordan forced from the game in the 3rd. Tyler Johnson fell into his leg. Norvel Pelle fouled out with 3:50 left. TLC forced into playing center the rest of the way. Amazing. Okay, so that would be a reason why Noah Vonleh would get on the floor, but I don't think they're playing Norvel Pelle and Noah Vonleh all that many minutes either way. So one of those guys is a proxy for the other. We're up to 235 minutes. I don't really see anybody else whose minutes I want to dramatically change. I think most of that is fine. So this is a spot where I'm just going to throw an additional 5 minutes, in this case, straight to Tyler Johnson. Could go to Tyler Johnson, Chiozza. I don't care who gets these minutes. I don't know if anybody else plays that scatter shot at the end. Could even be a couple guys. It's just never going to be something I care all that much about. But what I do care quite a bit about are individual rates. So first things first, I'm going to the Brooklyn Nets and I'm taking everybody off. So goodbye, Karis LeVert. Goodbye, Jared Allen. Goodbye, Kevin Durant. And this is going to get thin real quick. Goodbye, Spencer Dinwiddie. Goodbye, Taurean Prince. Some of these guys I might not even have enough time on, but we'll be fine. So first up, we're going to be hitting all of the blue guys. So James Harden's usage rate so far with those guys off the floor, 187 minutes, 23% usage rate, even with Kevin Durant off the floor. Is there anybody else I need to pull from this that's taking too much? Like even Kyrie's not getting all that much usage. That's wild. That is super, super wild. All right, I'm going to pull Chris Chiozza from this projection as well. He had a bit of a higher usage rate than I would have liked to see. Might have been clouding things a little bit. And then I'm going to pull Kurucs as well since he's not there. Doesn't matter because it's only 8 possessions, but I think that'll give me a better idea. So I'm going to assume that James Harden is not taking a giant usage bump here. I mean, he's normally a 31% usage guy. There's no chance that I'm projecting James Harden to continue to be a 22.7% usage guy for this game, but I am going to project him less than normal. So I'm going to give him 27% in this spot. Next up is going to be Jeff Green, 14% usage. I am going to basically maintain that. I'm going to leave it at 15. Joe Harris is a 15% usage guy in this setup. This just feels like it's calculating incorrectly. It has to be. There's not enough guys over 20. Might have to point that one out. All right, so Joe Harris, 15% usage here, normally 17.7. I don't want to go too far away, so I'll just bring it down 1%. Kyrie at 28.8. Only been at 24. I don't trust that one either. I'm going to leave that one at 28. Bruce Brown can stay at 15. DeAndre Jordan can stay at 14. And TLC can hang out at 16. Nope, not 1,600. That would be insane. I think that's going to be fine. Harden's assist rate can go up a little bit. I think he's handling the ball a little bit more. Kyrie's rates are pretty much the same. I think that'll work. If I just quickly hit a review, I'm probably a little lighter on Harden and Kyrie, but I just don't trust those usages right now. And they're really the only two guys that I'd be interested in on FanDuel. It's going to be difficult to want to get to Jeff Green at 4,900 or Joe Harris at 5,100. Nobody else really grading out all that well, so it's going to be Harden and Kyrie for me. 95 concurrent viewers, 73 likes. You guys are hooking me up. And again, this is going to be something I work throughout the day. I will basically go back through and do the large majority of this again as news comes in, but this is how I get my baseline for everything. So we're going to move from Brooklyn to Detroit. So we're staying in the same game, which is fun. Clearly going to be not projecting, I assume we're not projecting Derrick Rose to be playing today, right? Has that trade gone through? I guess it has. We got Dennis Smith Jr. showing up here. He's listed as questionable today. So we're going to ignore that. Wayne Ellington, questionable. Which reminds me, I should pull up the injury report. Adam Klug, yeah, I'm up early, brother. I'm normally up at this time doing this exact same thing one way or the other. Now it's just going to be a live stream. So appreciate having the 100 people here. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, notification bell, all that jazz. We got a ton of shows coming up later today. All right, so DeLon Wright, questionable. Wayne Ellington, questionable. DSJ, questionable. I'm just not going to project him in. Obviously, we know Killian Hayes is out. So I just need to yank these minutes away from Derrick Rose. I think that's the only one that I'm going to have to worry about. And projecting the rotations for this stupid team is not going to be fun, but I'm going to give DeLon Wright 31 minutes. He's been playing a bundle with these guys out, 45 minutes here. Was that OT? Yeah, double OT, right? Yeah, double OT. But even still, take 10 off of that. That's 35. Played 32 here. Where else was Rose been not playing? 36 and 35 with Rose out here. So I think that's fine. I'm going to leave Blake Griffin at 29. I think I could leave Isaiah Stewart at 19. Jeremy Grant at 35. Josh Jackson at 22. Could probably go to 23. Mason Plumlee, has he been playing a little bit more lately? So that would be 37, 24, 28. Oh, Dave, you're the worst. I haven't been drinking as much coffee on the show so far, which is really not ideal. Here's another reason why I don't care too much about minutes. We've got this Sadiq Bey, Sekou, Fee group where everybody plays 12 to 15 minutes. I don't care to get them right. It's just not going to matter. What I do have is 15 additional minutes that I need to worry about. So for right now, I'm going to take, I think, some of them off of Wayne. Even when he was healthy, saw giant minutes drop to 18 a game. So we want to bring that down to 22. Do I have a wife and kids? I have a wife. I do not have kids, just dogs. And like all these guys are like positionless basically, so I don't care about them either. So I'm just gonna turn Svi into 15 minutes. I'm gonna give Sekou a couple extra minutes. I'm gonna give Sadiq Bey a couple extra minutes. But these guys just like they just play random amounts of time as far as I'm concerned. Who actually played all of the minutes in this OT game? Because I think that's actually the piece that makes the most importance. Okay, so Svi, Josh Jackson, DeLon Wright, Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee all closed the 10 minutes of overtime, or essentially. DeLon Wright, Jeremy Grant, and Mason Plumlee are going to be there no matter what. I think Josh Jackson is going to close either way. Svi with Wayne Ellington out, I think is fully up in the air. So I don't really trust any of these guys. Saban Lee played in the fourth quarter here. I think I could probably just give him the final 7 minutes and be done with it. And then I just have to adjust for Derrick Rose not having rates on the floor any longer. 104 people. I can't believe we have 104 people here watching this at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's so exciting. I appreciate having you guys. We'll be here again tomorrow morning doing the same thing. There will probably be days where, like, I think it's like an 11-game slate on Friday. I might have to do a couple of these games before we get started. We'll take Servetus off. We'll take Frank Jackson off. Take Rodney Magruder off and Jahlil Okafor off. That'll probably cover me. Yeah, all these guys are basic. Oh, Killian Hayes. He definitely has to come off. Don't think Killian Hayes is suiting up today. That's for sure. All right, so we'll hit usage rates. Blake is still at 20. So that's fine. No changes there. DeLon Wright, 16.5. I could leave that at 16. That's fine. Isaiah Stewart is at 14. That'll hold. Jeremy Grant, 26. Josh Jackson, 24. Jeremy Grant, 26. Josh Jackson can go up a little bit. We'll go 24.5. Mason Plumlee, 18. Wayne Ellington, 17. Mason Plumlee, 19. Okay, let's go 18.5. And for Wayne Ellington, we'll stay at 17. So, diggity done. Hop over, take a peek at the Pistons review sheet. And, all right, so surprise, surprise, I'll be looking at Jeremy Grant, 7,800. So price went back up on FanDuel. That's kind of annoying. Still the best play. DeLon Wright, looking like my second favorite play on FanDuel for the Pistons. Mason Plumlee, Blake Griffin, both in play as well. That is about it. So we move on. Golden State Warriors on the back-to-back. That should be fun. I assume that their rotation is going to look pretty comparable to yesterday's. I don't think that they have any rotational news that I have to worry about. I think everybody is just sort of in. Looney out, Wiseman out. I didn't see how their rotations actually shook out yesterday. Curry, Wiggins, Oubre, Draymond, all 35, 36 minutes. So that might be a spot where I have to adjust. Juan Toscano Anderson got to 29 minutes. So I think we can make those sort of changes. I'm going to leave Draymond at 34. I think that seems fine. I definitely need to give Wiggins a couple additional minutes here. So I'm going to take those from... Ooh, I don't know who. I'm going to take 2 minutes from Eric Paschall. That puts Wiggins at 34. I've got Oubre at 32. I'd like another minute there, so I'll take one from Kent Bazemore. And then Steph is at 35. So I think that's all fine. All of these rates should be pretty much accurate. So I don't really think... This is a team that I would have went through yesterday, and the entire rotation is the same. Nothing's changing here. So I can just immediately go take a look at Golden State. Other than Steph, I don't really have much that I'm worried about. I am probably projecting him lightly, and I don't mind. But I would play Steph, Oubre, Wiggins. I don't have much interest in Draymond at 7,500 on FanDuel. It's just a bit too aggressive of a price tag, but they're projecting pretty neutral against the Spurs again. So I'm just going to hold steady there. Golden State, pretty easy. Now we go to Houston. Gonna have to deal with this stupid team and their stupid rotations. So I got to gut everything here. Obviously, Oladipo played yesterday, not playing today. John Wall and Eric Gordon didn't play yesterday. He is playing today. Eric Gordon in. We know no Christian Wood. So let's start here. John Wall. I'm going to give him 31 minutes. I assume, he got to 32, but the only time he's been at that number. So I want to at least bake in a little bit of comfort. Boogie's going to get 30 minutes right out of the gate. Eric Gordon played 36 their last time out, 33 here. I'm just going to give him 33. That seems easy enough. PJ Tucker, we'll call it 31. And then we can start hashing the rest of this out. So Nwaba played 30 minutes last night. That is interesting to see. Daniel House played 30 minutes. Jayshawn Tate played 30 minutes. That all feels about right to me. So I don't think House gets all of that. I'm going to give House 28 here. And I'm going to fix this. I just want to hand out the minutes first because it might make Houston a little bit easier. Man, I think Nwaba, it's Eric Gordon and John Wall back. So Nwaba probably takes that haircut. I'll give him 25. Jayshawn Tate is going to get 29. We're up to 207. Give Sterling Brown 20. Ben McLemore 13. And that's just going to be it. So now I just need to adjust the pieces here. So let's do 17 and 16 for Eric Gordon. We'll do 19 and 1 for Sterling Brown. PJ Tucker as the backup center. And then Daniel House. And that would be done, right? Nope, I did that backwards. 22 and 7. Bingo. Yeah, I think that all looks pretty good. Houston looking decent. So yeah, Sterling Brown had a decent game last night. See, now we need to break down Houston. And one thing that I do want to do, I have to make sure. So we need to take Victor Oladipo off. I need to take James Harden off. I need to take Christian Wood off. And then I'm basically taking off all of the people that play for Houston. We're picking up a little bit of speed. We might be able to get out of here at like the 7:45 mark, which would be nice. Anybody else I need to take out of here right now that's going to be incredibly important? Doesn't appear to be. Broderick Thomas needs to go. He had 33% usage in 16 minutes. That's just going to skew data. I think the rest of that can stay. So first up, Cousins. Boogie with all these guys off. 25% usage. I'm going to give him 24.5. Doesn't really see many adjustments to any other rates. A little bit more assists, so I am going to give him a bump to his assist rate. I calculate assist rate differently, or not, I don't calculate it differently. It's a literal assist rate, the assists per a certain amount of possessions. It was just how Basketball Reference presented the data when I first looked at it, so that's been stuck for me. Eric Gordon, 26.8% usage when these guys are off. I'm going to give him 26.5. Jayshawn Tate, 15.5. John Wall, 32.2% usage rate for Wall with these guys off. So I'm going to bump that up to 31. PJ Tucker is an 8% usage guy, so we'll lock that at 9. Sterling Brown at 12%. Normally a 15.7 guy, so I'm going to give him 13.5. And then that'll give me enough time to give House and Nwaba. House is around 15. I'm going to stick him at his own normal number. Nwaba using 19% of possessions so far this year. So I'm going to give him 17.5 since those other guys are in. That should largely cover me. Wall, 12% assist rate. I do want to bump that up a little bit too. Don't think that I'm going to need too many other changes. Does Eric Gordon get an assist rate bump? 3.5%? Yeah, he does. Let's make sure we get him that. Well, it's looking like Cousins, Gordon, and Wall might stand out a little bit here as I hop back over to my review column. I feel pretty good there. Yeah, DeMarcus Cousins for 6K again on FanDuel is going to be hard to get away from with that. He's just going to be getting smashed again at center. Wall and Gordon, the other two guys that stand out most to me. When does Josh sleep? I was asleep from 10 until 5:15. All right, so we've done 1, 2, 3, 4. We've done 5 teams, so we're moving a little bit better now. Took me a little bit to get started. Legalize shaming Dave for posting his winning bet slips. I noticed that he posted the same one twice. I agree. It annoyed me too. All right, we're on to Miami. Let's see what we've got going on for the Heat today because their rotations have been a mess as of late. No Dragic, no Avery Bradley, which we know. Gabe Vincent probable. Everybody else is in. I don't have Dragic in here, so I probably don't need too many guys moved around. This is the same rotation as the last time. So let's look and see what Miami did, and we'll look and see who closed for the Heat their last time out against the Knicks. So it was Olynyk, Nunn, Robinson, Butler, and Bam. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, starting. Closing lineup, which actually did matter. Bam, Butler, Robinson, Olynyk, Tyler Hero. So they pulled Kendrick Nunn from the closing lineup, even though he still played 30 minutes, which is interesting. So I'm going to give Kendrick Nunn 1 additional minute. I'm going to need to pull that from Gabe Vincent and then take one and move them around from Tyler Hero. You're like the only one that pronounces Dragic's name properly. So I didn't. That was a thing on our shows last year. I can't even say it the wrong way now. Dragic. Yeah, so that's how I would have said it a year ago. MC, this is what goes into my personal projections, not the Awesemo projections. But just for reference sake, Alex is going to be doing a pretty similar exercise, I would imagine, projecting out rotations each day. So this is just sort of like the blueprint for what some people would do. Has Oladipo been traded? Like again? No. All right. So Tyler Hero's minutes seem fine at 32. Precious and Bam, that's a perfect split. Max Struss did not play this last game after playing many straight. They just gave more minutes to Gabe Vincent after not playing. I don't think that's going to matter all that much. Okay, so I don't want to go too much more on Kendrick Nunn. I think giving him more minutes would be problematic. So I think this rotation actually looks about where I would want it to be. I don't have many changes that I want to make, and everybody's rates should be where I had them previously. So I think Miami just holds for right now. I'm going to be lighter on Jimmy Butler than most people, but I don't think that he's a particularly good DFS play. So there's that. Let's see what else we got. Would you be able to template the file for us to follow along and tweak yourselves? I would not. That would be largely impossible. All of the inputs come from my database. Dave, you actually are asking a good question here. So when you get late news, do you go through this process again or just manually boost the projection? No, when I get late news, I am going through this process again. Well, it depends on when that news comes in. Like if I'm live and it's 6:45, then I'm just manually tweaking projections because I'm not going to have time. If we're talking about news at 5:30, then yeah, I'm changing this and grabbing the new projection that comes out. All right, on to the Pelicans now. And again, 135 people, 95 likes. We're going to get 100 likes out of the 135 people that are live here. You guys are the absolute best. I'm so happy to have you guys here today. This is fun, man. This is really fun. I'm excited to be doing this show. We're going to be quite the morning crew in a couple of weeks once we do this over and over again. All right, so Josh Hart is questionable. No one else on the Pelicans is relevant from an injury perspective. So this one should look pretty close to what we had previously. Okay. What are they doing here with Nickeil Alexander Walker? So Nickeil Alexander-Walker got the DNP CD in the last game, or was he just out, like properly out? Let's find out. DNP CD. Okay. I don't know if he's going to be permanently out of the rotation or not, but I think that I'm going to treat it like he is. They gave Kira Lewis the additional run. I see no reason to think that they wouldn't do that again. I mean, they're both sort of the same player in that, you know, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a second-year guy. Kira Lewis, a first-round pick from this year. So it's not like they don't have the same sort of outlook for them. I don't really think that either one of them are going to be all that playable. So I think what I'll do is give Kira Lewis those 17 minutes and throw 5 to Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and he could be my trickle over. It's not that I like FanDuel over DraftKings. It's just sort of always been the one that I've played for basketball. I'm just used to it by now. More importantly, I like the contest. It's usually either like $3 to $4 on FanDuel, the 150 max. That fits me better than the excellent eights or whatever it's called on DraftKings. If DraftKings had a like $4 150 max, I would be playing on DraftKings as well. Feels like the good old days with your spreadsheets. Is this 2016? Yeah, it feels like it, man. It does. All right, so Eric Bledsoe's minutes are down over the past couple of games. Is there a reason for that? When's the last Pels game? All right, so did Bledsoe have any weird rotations? Nope, it's just straight. Well, he played 31 and a half minutes. That's the rotation I would expect him to play. So I'm going to bring that down to 32. That can give Nickeil Alexander-Walker 7 more minutes. Don't really think that I need to make any other tweaks. Nobody else stands out to me as problematic. It's probably not enough minutes for JJ Redick. He has been back playing 16 minutes, so I am probably going to end up essentially removing Nickeil Alexander-Walker from this rotation. There's 16 for JJ, and I think that's where we're going to just sit. I think that's going to be fine. So how do we feel about New Orleans here? I think that looks good. Steven Adams, 5,200, looking like my favorite play on FanDuel. Zion, Brandon Ingram, Eric Bledsoe, all in play. Lonzo at 7K, not so much. That all looks pretty good. Yeah. I don't have much to change here. They haven't done much else. Oh, there's a team I hate projecting. The New York Knickerbockers. And we're at 150 people, 112 likes. Love you guys. Love seeing it. It's fantastic. All right, DSJ, first and foremost, I need to move you to Detroit, which I realized I didn't do before. And then on Detroit, I need to move Derrick Rose to the New York Knicks. There we go. He's not playing though, right? Like that's just not happening. Is Derrick Rose going to play? Do I trust Adams? There's no such thing as trust for me. Minutes are minutes. I trust his minutes. What else do we know about Derrick Rose's ability? He's not tonight. Okay. Derrick Rose in chat letting me know he's starting. That's fun. Yeah, so I didn't expect Derrick Rose to be starting here. So that's honestly like pretty funny. So this rotation for the Knicks should be pretty easy, at least for today. If I just take a look at their most recent one, I mean, I know Elf is getting those minutes again. So let's go 30 to Elf, 18 to Quickly. RJ Barrett just playing less as of late, huh? Those big time minutes are gone. So I'm going to take him to 32, which will allow me to give Alec Burks another 2 minutes. That takes him to 25. Probably needs to be even higher. Austin Rivers just not really a part of the rotation the way that he had been. Mitch, cannot get that guy right to save my life. Nerlens didn't play the last 2 games. That got Taj into the rotation. I have Nerlens in now. It doesn't really matter which one's which. I'm not going to have to change any rates. All these guys are the same guys that have been in. Those rates aren't not going to have changed since then. So I think the Knicks are just sort of set. I'm going to throw these additional spillover minutes to Taj for right now. Not that it matters. Oddly enough, Knicks were easy. Let's see. Elfrid Payton, 24.7 fantasy points in 30 minutes. That's a 0.82 rate. That does feel incorrect, though. So I do want to look at Knicks rates quickly to see if I have... quickly, I get it. To see if I have Elfrid Payton incorrect. Who do I need to take off here for the Knicks? Let's take off Harper, Brazdeikis. Nice to have you here, Gabriel. Real helper. Take DSJ off. Take Frankie Smokes off. That should cover me. So now, if we look at Elfrid Payton, I've got him in for a 22% usage rate. That's where he's at. So I have his assist rate higher. Rebounding rate looks fine. I'm not changing anything. We're good to go there. I have no reason to make any changes here. I will bump Quickly's usage rate, but that's it. Nope, I'm happy with this. I don't mind my projection on the Knicks because this is a slow game. The Knicks are the slowest team in basketball. Miami is not too far behind. They are 8th. So not a lot of possessions to go around. Don't like Elfrid Payton all that much. I mean, he looks like a fine play. He's the second best play, but I don't think that I'm going to be getting to anything from the Knicks. Yeah. T. McBee, not Derek Harper. Did I say Derek Harper? Because that's even funnier if I did. All right, on to Orlando. Another team that's really not fun to project. Whoa, is Al-Farouq Aminu available? We'll be back. That's a fun little development. Aminu is questionable. Welcome back. So no Fournier, no Gordon, no Michael Carter-Williams. No Fournier is important, so I need to gut all of this. This is going to be a truly, truly terrible projection. All right, so right out of the gate, 35 minutes for Vooch. Diggity done. Backup, going to be Kem Birch, 13 minutes. We'll figure out what we give him after that. Next, Cole Anthony. I assume he's going to be playing 32 minutes, but let's just check. Cole Anthony, we'll give him 31. Backup point guard for Orlando is Frank Mason, I guess. So we'll give Frank Mason 17 minutes there. Have they been... Okay, so Frank Mason and Cole Anthony had no problem playing alongside each other. It's not an OT game. So Mason at 26, Cole Anthony here. At this point... Okay, so the first game when Fournier was there, they didn't play alongside each other, but they did play alongside each other the most recent game. Since Fournier is still out, I'm going to assume that Frank Mason also plays alongside Cole Anthony at least a little bit. So I'll give him 4 more minutes. Terrence Ross, who doesn't appear to do anything additional ever, I'm going to give 29 minutes. Dwayne Bacon looking like the biggest benefit guy here. Played 31 minutes without Evan Fournier. James Ennis played 30 minutes. I think both of those guys are going to see a decent chunk of time. So I'm going to give Dwayne Bacon these 15 minutes and another 15 minutes. I'm going to give James Ennis 28 minutes. I'm going to give Kem Birch another 6 minutes at power forward. I need to give Gary Clark a chunk of time. Gary Clark played 30 minutes the last time out. I'm going to assume that largely continues. So let's give him 28, which allows me to give Chuma Okeke 19. And that's just the Orlando Magic for right now. That feels okay. If Aminu ends up in, I'm guessing they probably take minutes from Gary Clark or Chuma Okeke. I am going to take 1 minute from Okeke and give it to Aminu just as a spillover spot. And then let's go ahead and check out Orlando and find out if we could even get a sample here. So no Aaron Gordon, no Evan Fournier. This is going to get tiny pretty quickly. No Markelle Fultz. And no Michael Carter Williams. Ooh, 7:36. When did that happen? All right. We're going to have to round this one out relatively quickly, but nobody else is coming on live for a while. We got time, nothing but time on our hands. So let's do rates. We don't have too much time with all these guys, but I think this is going to have to be fine. Cole Anthony, 28.7% usage rate in 210 minutes with Gordon, Fournier, Fultz, and MCW off the floor. I'm not going all the way to 28, but I'm willing to go to 28.7, oddly enough. I'm going to go to 27 on the dot. This is going to be a big bump for Cole Anthony. 7% usage rate, too. So he's going to be looking pretty darn good today. Do I cut his rebounding rate? No, he's just out there. Dwayne Bacon, 21% usage rate with these guys off, so I'm just going to lock him in at 20. Vooch, obviously a very important one, 34.4% usage rate with these guys off the floor. Normal baseline is 27. I'm going to give him 33. And then Terrence Ross, for some reason, just stays like neutral. So we'll give Terrence Ross his rates. Frank Mason, 18%. That's fine. Gary Clark is normally an 11% guy. He's at 7.6% in this sample. I'm just going to cut him all the way down to 9. James Ennis, 17.7% usage rate. We'll go 16.5. Tells me I don't need to give it to Kem Birch, but I will since I'm here. 14% usage rate for Kem Birch. Spillover hits Aminu and Chuma Okeke. So, looking at Orlando, Nikola Vucevic is an absolute smash play at 8,700 against Portland. Gotta get to him. I think he's going to be my clear-cut favorite center option. Probably my number one contender on FanDuel, if I had to guess. Cole Anthony also looking like a truly, truly elite option today. Dwayne Bacon a little bit more on the periph. I don't have a ton of interest in much else coming out of Orlando, but Vooch smash spot like crazy. I have him projected for 52.5 fantasy points on FanDuel, 1.5 fantasy points per minute. So Vooch and Cole Anthony, very much essential plays on Orlando today. One thing you want to remember, guys, I don't know if you just saw me do it. Don't be afraid to click that save button regularly in Excel. You do not want that stuff to happen any longer. You don't want to accidentally crash and not have any of the work you did. Oh, all righty. On to Philly. So we have what? How many more to go before we get out of here? All right, 5 more teams to go, and then we're out of here. Ben Simmons back in the lineup for today, it looks like. Mike Scott out, Terrence Ferguson probable. Everybody else is in. I'm going to pull all of the data. We're going to put Joel Embiid in for 33 minutes, since that's basically what he plays every single day. But just for future reference, let's just go ahead and do this. Actually, can I need to set up some like window capture thingy where I can put the minutes below. I can put the minutes down here. I think that would be really good. I wonder if I could just cut that. Does that work? Yeah, it's not going to be good. All the shaping is going to be off. Yeah, please. So I changed my auto save to usually like 1 minute or 2 minutes or something along those lines just to make it a little bit easier. All right, so Embiid 33 minutes, easy peasy. That one's just done and dusted. Tobias Harris is going to be at 34 minutes. Average 34.6 over this stretch. I guess I need to make that 35. That's fine. Dwight Howard just going to play the backup center minutes, so that's 15. That one's easy. Next up, we're going to give Danny Green like 27 minutes probably. Yeah, that seems right. Slot Danny Green in there. Shake Milton. Shake Milton played 27 minutes here. Was this? No, couldn't have been. 27, 24. All right, so minutes are ticking back up. I'm going to give Shake Milton 22. I'm going to give... Is Maxey still playing minimally? Yeah. Maxey gets 8. And then Seth Curry, 26. He had the poops, and I played him 20. All right, so 28 minutes, I think, for Seth Curry is probably pretty correct. Let's do 18 and 10 here. Thibault can play 13 and 7 because he plays about 20 minutes. You know what? 13 and 8. We'll give Ben Simmons immediately a big chunk of time. We'll go 34. So I have 17 minutes to go. Who'd I miss? Korkmaz? Done. Sixers done. Easy peasy. See, sometimes, like, for some of this stuff, I just can't dig into teams where there's not a lot of ambiguity. Like, when everybody is just in, like, normal, it's going to be easier for me to just throw the minutes in as fast as I possibly can. All right, so, I mean, from Philly, I don't really need to remove anybody here. I'm going to take Paul Reed off just because of his usage rate when he plays. But everybody else is just sort of, like, real. So Ben Simmons' usage rate so far this season, 20%. I'm just going to keep him at his normal rates. Danny Green is at 13.8, so I'm just going to stick him at 14. Embiid is 33% for the season. I'm just going to leave it at 33.5. Seth Curry is 16%. Call it 16.5. Shake Milton, 24% usage rate this year for Shake Milton, which I find interesting. What happens when Joel Embiid is on the floor for Shake Milton? Does it go down? 16%. Yeah, it does. I'm going to lock Shake Milton in at just flat 20 because I think his is the one that has the biggest variability. And then Tobias Harris, final one, 23.8, usually 24. I'm going with 24. That's Philly in the books. Embiid looking really good at 10-6, but it's just going to be really hard to get to Embiid over Nikola Vucevic. Simmons and Tobias Harris both look fine. Seth Curry, if you need a value play, but not much else from Philly, looking good against Sacramento, which is kind of surprising. On to Portland now. Well, at least they get some of these bodies back, Dame and such, because this was a disaster when you have to project Keljin Blevins to get some playing time, whatever that is. All right, so 37 minutes for Dame, easy peasy. 32 minutes straight for Cantor. That's just going to be the center rotation. Can't really see a scenario where it's more. Well, it could be more, I guess. You know what? I might give him 33. Taking on Vooch, too. I'm anxious to see if that changes anything. So they are playing some minutes without Cantor or Giles at the 5, which I assume has to be either Derek Jones technically or Melo or Robert Covington. I don't think it matters. They're all sort of the same guy. So let's give Harry Giles 12 minutes. We'll say that Melo is the nominal center and plays 24 minutes. That feels low, right? Melo with Derek Jones back. It's a little low. We'll go 25 minutes. We'll give Derek Jones 21 minutes because I think he's still working his way back. Guys, 148 people, 125 likes. Man, we are so close to being able to get everybody that's watching to hit the like button. That's super, super cool. Yeah, he's going to need some time after being out. So I'm going to give him 21 minutes there. We'll give 5 more to Robert Covington, and then 28 because he's just going to play a ton of time. You know, Robert Covington averaging 32 minutes a game. Since he's been back, his last 5, he's averaged 34. Some of those have had guys out, so I think projecting him at 33 works perfectly. Simons is clearly the backup point guard. They will play alongside each other a little bit, but I'm not all that worried about the details there. Gary Trent clearly plays a ton of time no matter what's happening. We're talking, 35, 36 minutes. So I'm going to give him 35, which leaves 27 minutes left over for Rodney Hood. That seems a little low for Hood, if I'm being perfectly honest, but I don't know who I would naturally take minutes away from. So I think that I'm just going to stick with the 27 on Hood. Has played 30 the past 3, but one of those games had no Dame, no Derek Jones, so I can't look into this one. This would be the spot that I'd have to look into it most. Hood played 34 minutes with everybody back. I just don't get the sense that Rodney Hood is going to play 37 minutes all that frequently, and I don't really know where those minutes would come from. I guess Melo. Melo would be the guy. Melo played 17 minutes in their last game, and I'm projecting him for 25. So I'm just going to take 1 more minute away from Melo, give it to Rodney Hood, and then we're going to pull up Portland to go through that rotation. So let's go ahead and take out CJ McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic. Make our changes to Portland. So Damian Lillard, usage rate 32.5, assist rate 10%. We've got Cantor at 19% for the season in that spot. It's exactly his normal rates. Gary Trent at 20%. I'm going to bump that up to just 19 instead. Robert Covington, 12.5% usage with these guys off the floor. Normally a 14.5% guy, so I'm going to project it at 13. Try to narrow that out a little bit. Melo is at 24%, so I'm going to need to bump him a little bit. Derek Jones Jr., normally a 13% usage guy. He's at 13 with those guys off. That makes it easier. And then Rodney Hood, 14% usage, normal projection. He's at 15. I'll even give him the 14.5. And if I look at Portland now, Dame looks great on FanDuel, 9,800, looks really good on DK as well at 10K. Enes Kanter looking fantastic at 7,200, but not nearly as good as Vooch in the same game. But you're going to want to get a center in Portland, Orlando, that's for sure. Gary Trent, 6,600 on FanDuel is fine, but not ideal. Not much else from Portland. Almost done, guys. Almost done. Great show so far. I couldn't be happier. Tell your friends. This is the way to wake up now. Sacramento. This one should be really easy. They don't change anything right now. Buddy Hield, 36 minutes, good. 18 on Corey Joseph. All of these look really, really reasonable right off the bat for me. I mean, Hield probably actually playing more minutes. 38, 39, 38, 39, 37, 39, 37. So I need to give him 2 more minutes from somewhere. I'm just going to take them from Glenn Robinson. So that gets Buddy Hield to 27. But he doesn't have the usage rate this year, which is so wild. Bagley's now not playing as much, back down in the 20s. I guess that I can... Who's getting those minutes? They really need to trade Nemanja Bjelica. I'm anxious to see where he ends up. Be really nice and... I don't know where. All right, so I'm going to take those minutes and take them from Bagley and give them back to Glenn Robinson. I don't have rates to change. I haven't changed any minutes or rotation, so the Kings can just hold true. And even so, for teams where like Sacramento, where I'm not touching any of their rates, generally speaking, once a week, I will go back through and retouch up everybody here. But I have recently done that, so Sacramento can hold and projections look fine. De'Aaron Fox is my favorite play from Sacramento, looking like a really nice value at 8,600 or solid value at 8,600. Holmes, Hield, and Halliburton viable. Barnes as well. You're mostly just trying to get the 6K guy right that pops, so that's tough. Josh, why are people playing so much chalk this year? People don't believe in being different anymore. No, you just don't have to be that different. Yeah. People are really into playing the best plays. All right, 2 to go, guys, and then we're going to get out of here. 159 people, 139 likes. I love you guys. I love you guys a ton. I can't wait to do this again tomorrow. This is going to be so much fun. And you know what's really going to be fun? The day that I have a really good GPP win or score or whatever, and I can gloat for the first 5 minutes. I'm really excited for that. Okay, so Spurs are actually important for today because Derek White is out and LaMarcus Aldridge is still out. Lonnie Walker is questionable, but it came out that he was expected to play tomorrow. So what I'm going to do right out of the gate is take 28 minutes from Derek White and give them straight to Lonnie Walker. And I don't think that I'm going to have to make too many changes after that, other than to rates. It could be fine to have all of those chalk plays in one lineup. It doesn't necessarily have to be a problem. I'm sure I had multiple lineups like that. It's probably why things didn't go well, because it didn't work out. But no, they were great plays. DeJounte Murray just going crazy last night with the steals. I think he had 7. I would like to give him another minute. Did Trey Lyles play last night? He did not. Kind of expected that. I'm going to take Trey Lyles' minutes from him. I'm going to give another minute to DeJounte Murray. I'm going to give 2 more minutes to Devin Vassell. Eubanks played 10 minutes. That's fine. Rudy Gay played 25 minutes, so I do need to give him 2 more minutes. Patty Mills played 28 minutes. I have him at 26. I am going to give him 1 more minute. Puddle's minutes are fine. Keldon Johnson played 28. I got him in for 29. DeMar looks fine. All right, so I'm going to give Trey Lyles the 4 spillover minutes. All right, so next we need to get rates for San Antonio. These are important because DeMar DeRozan is a very different player with LaMarcus Aldridge off the floor. So we'll take Aldridge off. We'll take Derek White off. I'm going to take Quindary Witherspoon, Lucas Samanic, Keita Bates-Diop off. Again, you don't have to do this. I just like cleaning up the list to not have names in front of me. It's just a personal quirk. Take Trey Jones off as well. All right. San Antonio. So DeJounte Murray, 21.8% usage normally. It's 24.9 with these guys off this season. So I'm going to put that straight at 24. His assist rate is the same. His rebounding rate is the same. So that's fine. DeMar goes from 24% usage to 26.5. So I'm going to give him 26. I think he does see an assist rate bump too. Yeah, 11.1%. So I'm going to take that to 10. We'll go to Jake Puddle next. 13.5% usage. Normally it's 12.5. So that'll work. Keldon Johnson at 20. 22. We'll go 21.5. Lonnie Walker is normally 18%, so that can hold. Patty Mills, 22% with those guys off, so we'll go to 21. Rudy Gay, 22.5 with those guys off, exactly the same. And then finally, Devin Vassell, 13.5% usage with LaMarcus Aldridge and Derek White off the floor. That's quite a bit lower than his normal rate, so I'm going to lock him in at 14. That's the Spurs. All right, so Murray looking like the best play from San Antonio. We'll see if he goes for it again, but he looks like my favorite play on FanDuel, probably on DK as well relative to salary. DeRozan 2, Keldon Johnson 3, Jakob Poeltl 4, Lonnie Walker 3,500, the flat min on FanDuel. I think that you're going to need to keep an eye on that. I also think that I'm probably projecting Lonnie Walker with too many minutes. How long has Derek White been back? Okay, no, so those are the minutes that Lonnie Walker was playing when Derek White wasn't in. So I like that rotation. I like that. San Antonio looking really good. A lot of that's going to have to do with the fact that Golden State is such a huge pace up spot. So I really do like that projection. Going to be good. Final team, and then we're going to get out of here, the Utah Jazz. And I don't get the sense that we're going to be talking too much here. other than putting, I don't know, probably no changes. Conley out. All of these rotations are not really going to change from the last Utah game. I already have the updated rates for Conley off. We know who's going to play a ton. I don't think I need to change anything here for it. Maybe move one or two of these guys. So I'm going to give Boyan an extra minute. I don't think that there's anybody else I need to really change up here. Clarkson played 30. Ingles played 30. Royce O'Neal played 34. So I think this could sit. All of these rates are already updated for Mike Conley not being on the floor. So that puts a pin in Utah. And that's it. Donovan Mitchell, favorite play on Utah, then Ingles, Gobert, and Jordan Clarkson. If I just come over here to my summary and just rank these guys out in terms of who I think is going to rank pretty highly in contenders. On FanDuel, we're looking at Vooch, Boogie, Dame, Cole Anthony, Cantor, Jeremy Grant, DeJounte Murray, De'Aaron Fox. They're looking like my top plays on FanDuel. From a DraftKings perspective, Vooch, Jeremy Grant, Lillard, DeJounte Murray, DeMar, Cole Anthony, DeMarcus Cousins, all these guys looking pretty good. But that's it, man. That is the process. That is the first process. That is it, guys. Hour and a half. I'm happy with it. 170 viewers, 143 likes. You guys are the best. Again, I'm going to be doing this every day, Monday to Friday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. I am just waking up. We're going to drink some coffee. We're going to work through some rotations, make some tweaks, talk about why some of those things are happening. I expect you guys, being in the chat, be active. Let me know things you guys are seeing. If you guys have any thoughts of the tweaks that I can make. The process will get smoother and smoother as we go through it because we'll be paying so much attention to everything. You won't have to make so many manual adjustments on a day-to-day basis when you're on top of things. So this was great. I loved it. If you guys have any suggestions for the show, things you would want to see. Now, remember, this isn't going to be an analysis type thing. We're not digging into plays against each other. But if there are things that you would like me to display differently, don't be afraid to let me know. Tweet at me. That's fine. At Josh Engleman. You guys know where to find me. But that's it. That's the process. Thank you guys for being here. Man, that was fun. We will be back again tomorrow. I'm on the strategy show this morning with Laffy at 10 o'clock, so come tune into that. I am now going to record the contenders for FanDuel and DK, so keep your eyes peeled there. Go watch those so you can actually get my top 10 plays on FanDuel, my top 10 plays on DK. Watch the strategy show, and then that's it for me. No live before lock today. Good luck, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the first ever process show. I love it. Good luck tonight. I'm out.